Silas lived on a farm that felt as empty as his heart. His wife, Martha, had passed away 2 years ago, and the joy seemed to have gone with her. The old farmhouse, once filled with laughter, now echoed with silence. Silas was a hard-working man, rising before dawn each day to tend to his crops and animals, but his heart wasn't in it anymore. The farm, once a symbol of their shared dreams, was now a constant reminder of his loss. The fields, usually bursting with life, were now patchy and struggling. Weeds seemed to grow faster than his crops, and the animals seemed listless and tired. Silas tried his best, pouring all his energy into the work, but it felt like he was fighting a losing battle. He missed Martha's gentle guidance and her unwavering optimism. She always knew how to coax the best out of the land. He'd often sit on the porch in the evenings, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and purple, remembering the times he and Martha would sit there together, dreaming of the future. Now, the future felt bleak and uncertain. The farm was in debt, the crops were failing, and Silas felt utterly alone. He wondered if he could keep the farm going, if he even wanted to. The weight of his grief and the burden of the farm felt heavier each day, threatening to crush him completely. As if the weight of his sorrow wasn't enough, nature decided to unleash its fury upon Silas's already struggling farm. The sky turned a menacing shade of gray, and the wind howled like a hungry wolf. Dark clouds gathered overhead, pregnant with rain and lightning. Silas knew a storm was coming, but he didn't realize how severe it would be. He rushed to secure the barn doors, his aging muscles aching with the effort. The animals, sensing the impending danger, were restless and agitated. The chickens clucked frantically, and the cows mooed nervously. Silas did his best to reassure them, but he couldn't shake off the feeling of dread that washed over him. The storm hit with full force. Rain lashed against the windows, and thunder shook the very foundations of the farmhouse. Lightning illuminated the landscape in flashes of blinding white, revealing the chaos unfolding outside. Trees swayed violently, their branches thrashing like angry arms. The wind ripped through the fields, flattening what little crops Silas had managed to salvage. He watched helplessly from the window as the storm raged on, feeling a sense of utter despair. It felt like nature was mocking him, adding insult to injury. The storm mirrored the turmoil within him, the chaos of his emotions reflecting the chaos outside. He wondered if he could weather this storm, both literally and figuratively. The farm, his livelihood, and his heart were all being battered and bruised. The morning after the storm dawned clear and bright, as if the previous night's fury had never happened. But the damage was undeniable. Trees were uprooted, fences were broken, and the fields were a muddy mess. Silas sighed, his heart heavy as he surveyed the scene. He knew he had a lot of work ahead of him. He started with the barn, checking on the animals and assessing the structural damage. As he pushed open the heavy wooden door, he noticed something out of place. A small bundle of blankets lay nestled in the corner, near the hay bales. Curiosity piqued, Silas cautiously approached. He reached down and gently pulled back the blanket, revealing a small face. A little girl, no older than 7 or 8, was fast asleep. Her hair was tangled, and her clothes were dirty, but her face was peaceful in slumber. Silas was taken aback. Who was she? And how did she get into his barn? He knelt beside her, hesitant to wake her. Her small, delicate features reminded him of Martha when she was a child. A wave of tenderness washed over him, a feeling he hadn't experienced in a long time. He couldn't just leave her there. He decided to let her sleep a little longer, giving himself time to figure out what to do. He went back to the farmhouse to make some breakfast, his mind racing with questions and a strange sense of anticipation. The smell of bacon eventually drifted into the barn, gently coaxing the little girl awake. She stirred, her eyes fluttering open, and she blinked in confusion, taking in her surroundings. For a moment, panic flashed across her face as she realized she wasn't where she thought she was. She sat up quickly, clutching the blanket tightly around her. Silas, hearing the commotion, entered the barn cautiously, holding a plate of scrambled eggs and toast. He knelt down again, offering her a gentle smile. "Good morning," he said softly. "I didn't want to startle you. I'm Silas." The girl stared at him, her eyes wide and wary. "Where? Where am I?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. "You're on my farm," Silas replied. "You were sleeping in the barn. Are you all right?" Tears welled up in her eyes, and she began to tremble. I got lost," she stammered. "Our wagon. It broke down in the storm. My mama and papa. I don't know where they are." Silas's heart ached for her. He could only imagine the fear and confusion she must be feeling. "What's your name, little one?" he asked gently. "Lily," she replied, her voice choked with emotion. "My name is Lily." Silas learned that Lily was an orphan. Her parents had been traveling west in search of a new life, but the storm had separated them. She had wandered off in the chaos, seeking shelter in the barn, hoping her parents would find her. Silas felt a pang of guilt and responsibility. He couldn't just turn a lost and orphaned girl out into the world, especially not after the devastation of the storm. But he was a simple farmer, barely able to take care of himself and his struggling farm. He wasn't sure he was equipped to care for a child, especially one who had just experienced such a traumatic event. He thought about the local orphanage in the nearby town. That would be the responsible thing to do, he reasoned. They would be able to provide her with the care and support she needed. But the thought of sending her away tugged at his heart. He remembered the look of fear in her eyes, the way she clutched the blanket as if it were the only thing anchoring her to the world. He knelt down beside her again, offering her the plate of food. "Eat something, Lily," he said gently. "You must be hungry." She hesitated for a moment, then took the plate with trembling hands. She ate slowly, her eyes fixed on Silas. He watched her, his heart softening with each bite. He knew he couldn't take her to the orphanage, not yet, at least. He would take her in, just for a little while, until he could figure out what to do. He could offer her a warm bed, a good meal, and a safe place to stay. That was the least he could do. "You can stay here for now, Lily," he said. "You're safe here." Lily, slowly starting to trust Silas, began to explore the farm cautiously. She stayed close to the farmhouse at first, venturing out only when Silas was nearby. He gave her some of Martha's old clothes, which were much too big for her, but she wore them with pride. Silas showed her how to feed the chickens and collect the eggs, tasks she approached with surprising enthusiasm. One afternoon, Silas was struggling to repair a broken fence. Lily watched him for a while, then shyly offered to help. Silas hesitated, thinking the task was too difficult for her, but he decided to let her try. To his surprise, Lily was quite adept at holding the post steady while he hammered. She seemed to have a natural understanding of how things worked. The next day, Lily asked if she could help in the garden. Silas, remembering Martha's passion for gardening, felt a pang of sadness. He hadn't touched the garden since Martha's passing. He showed Lily the overgrown rows of weeds and the withered plants, explaining how Martha used to nurture them. Lily listened intently, her eyes shining with interest. She spent hours in the garden, carefully pulling weeds and watering the plants. Silas watched her from the porch, amazed by her dedication. She seemed to have a natural green thumb, coaxing life back into the neglected plants. He noticed that the garden, like Lily herself, was starting to show signs of hope and resilience. He started to wonder if maybe, just maybe, this little girl was more than just a temporary guest. As the days turned into weeks, a comfortable routine settled between Silas and Lily. They ate their meals together at the old wooden table, sharing stories and laughter. Silas found himself talking more, sharing memories of Martha and the farm, things he hadn't spoken about in years. Lily listened patiently, her eyes full of understanding. In the evenings, they would sit on the porch, watching the sunset. Lily would ask Silas about the stars, and he would tell her stories about constellations and the vastness of the universe. He noticed that his grief, though still present, was becoming less overwhelming. Lily's presence filled the emptiness in his heart, bringing a sense of warmth and purpose back into his life. He started to teach her how to read and write, using Martha's old books. Lily was a quick learner, absorbing knowledge like a sponge. She was curious and eager to learn about everything, from the names of the plants in the garden to the workings of the farm equipment. Silas realized that Lily wasn't just helping him with the chores, she was helping him heal. Her innocent joy and unwavering optimism were slowly chipping away at the wall he had built around his heart. He found himself smiling more, laughing more, and feeling more alive than he had in years. Lily wasn't just an orphan he had taken in, she was becoming his family. They were both finding solace and companionship in each other's company, filling the void that loss had created. Silas was beginning to see a future with Lily by his side. One sunny afternoon, a fancy carriage pulled up to the farmhouse. A well-dressed man with a slick-back hairstyle and a persuasive smile stepped out. He introduced himself as Mr. Henderson, a land developer. He explained that he had heard about Silas's struggling farm and was interested in buying the property. "I can offer you a very generous price, Mr. Silas," Mr. Henderson said, his voice smooth as butter. "More than enough to live comfortably for the rest of your days. You could retire to a nice little cottage by the sea, away from all this hard work." Silas listened intently, his mind racing. The offer was tempting, very tempting. The farm was still in debt, and despite Lily's help, it was an uphill battle. He could use the money to pay off his debts and finally have some peace of mind. He glanced towards the garden, where Lily was carefully tending to her plants. Mr. Henderson, noticing Silas's hesitation, pressed on. "Think about it, Mr. Silas. You're getting older. This farm is too much for one man, especially after the storm. Let me take it off your hands. You deserve a break." He pulled out a contract, waving it enticingly. "Just sign here, and all your worries will be over." Silas hesitated, the pen trembling in his hand. He looked at Lily again, her small figure a beacon of hope in the failing garden. He thought about their evenings on the porch, the stories they shared, the laughter that filled the house again. He thought about Martha, and the dreams they had for the farm. Was he ready to give it all up? Unbeknownst to Silas, Lily had been listening from the doorway of the farmhouse, her small face etched with worry. She had heard Mr. Henderson's offer and understood what it meant. If Silas sold the farm, she would have nowhere to go. She would be sent back to an orphanage, a place she remembered as cold and lonely. She ran to Silas, her eyes filled with tears. "Please, Silas, don't sell the farm," she cried, grabbing his hand. "Where will I go? I don't want to leave you." Silas was taken aback by her outburst. He had been so caught up in his own thoughts that he hadn't realized how much the farm meant to Lily. He looked at her pleading face, her small hands clutching his, and his heart melted. He couldn't bear to see her so upset. He knelt down, pulling her into a hug. "It's all right, Lily," he said softly. "I won't let anything happen to you. I promise." He turned to Mr. Henderson, his eyes filled with newfound resolve. "I'm sorry, Mr. Henderson," he said firmly. "But I'm not selling the farm. It's not just a piece of land, it's my home, and it's Lily's home too. We're staying." Mr. Henderson's smile faded, replaced by a look of annoyance. "You're making a mistake, Mr. Silas," he said, his voice losing its smoothness. "You'll regret this." He snatched the contract from Silas's hand, turned on his heel, and stormed back to his carriage, leaving Silas and Lily standing together, hand in hand, in the fading sunlight. With Mr. Henderson gone, a sense of determination washed over Silas. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was no longer alone. He had Lily, and together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. He looked at her, her eyes still red from crying, and smiled reassuringly. "Come on, Lily," he said, taking her hand. Let's get back to work. We have a farm to run. They started by clearing the debris from the storm-damaged fields. Lily, despite her small size, worked tirelessly, helping Silas gather fallen branches and repair broken fences. She seemed to draw strength from his newfound resolve. Silas, in turn, was inspired by Lily's unwavering optimism. He started to see the farm with new eyes, not as a burden but as a place of possibility. He remembered Martha's words, "The land will provide, Silas, if you take care of it." He had almost given up on that promise, but Lily had rekindled his faith. They spent the next few weeks working side by side, planting new crops and tending to the animals. Silas taught Lily everything he knew about farming, and she absorbed it all with enthusiasm. She had a natural talent for knowing what the plants needed, coaxing them to grow even in the poorest soil. The garden, once overgrown and neglected, was now bursting with life, a testament to their hard work and dedication. Silas realized that Lily wasn't just helping him save the farm, she was helping him save himself. The months that followed were filled with hard work and simple joys. Silas and Lily worked as a team, each supporting the other. They learned to rely on each other, sharing their hopes and fears, their dreams and disappointments. The farm, once a symbol of Silas's grief, was now a symbol of their shared resilience. Lily's gardening skills continued to amaze Silas. She seemed to have a natural instinct for knowing what each plant needed. She experimented with different techniques, learning from her mistakes and celebrating her successes. The garden became a vibrant tapestry of colors and textures, attracting butterflies and bees, filling the air with the sweet scent of blossoms. Silas, in turn, taught Lily about the animals, showing her how to care for them and respect them. She learned to milk the cows, feed the chickens, and tend to the horses. She developed a special bond with a young foal, naming her Hope. As the crops began to ripen, Silas and Lily worked together to harvest them. They loaded the wagon with fresh vegetables and fruits, preparing to take them to the market in town. Silas hadn't felt this sense of accomplishment in years. He looked at Lily, her face beaming with pride, and his heart swelled with gratitude. He knew that he couldn't have done it without her. She had not only saved the farm but had also saved him. They were finally starting to thrive. The market day arrived, and Silas and Lily set off early in the morning, their wagon laden with their harvest. The town was bustling with activity, farmers selling their wares, merchants hawking their goods, and townsfolk milling about, catching up with friends and neighbors. Silas set up their stall, displaying their fresh vegetables and fruits. He was nervous at first, unsure if anyone would buy from him. But Lily, with her bright smile and enthusiastic salesmanship, quickly attracted customers. People were drawn to her genuine warmth and her passion for their produce. Soon, their stall was buzzing with activity. Customers raved about the quality and flavor of their vegetables, praising Lily's gardening skills. Silas watched with pride as she interacted with the townsfolk, sharing stories and laughter. He realized that she had not only brought life back to the farm but had also brought him back into the community. By the end of the day, their wagon was nearly empty, their pockets filled with coins. Silas had made enough money to pay off a significant portion of his debt. He was overjoyed, feeling a sense of relief he hadn't experienced in years. As they drove home in the twilight, Lily snuggled close to Silas, her head resting on his shoulder. "We did it, Silas," she exclaimed, her voice filled with excitement. "We saved the farm." Silas smiled, gazing at the starry sky. He knew that they had accomplished something truly remarkable. They had not only saved the farm but had also saved each other. They were a family, bound together by love, resilience, and a shared commitment to the land. The farm's success echoed in their hearts. As time went on, Silas knew in his heart that Lily was meant to be with him. She had become an integral part of his life, bringing joy and laughter back into his home. He couldn't imagine his life without her. He decided to make it official. He spoke to the local judge, explaining his situation and his desire to adopt Lily. The judge, a kind and understanding man, listened patiently and agreed to help. He admired Silas's compassion and Lily's resilience. The day of the adoption hearing arrived, and Silas and Lily dressed in their finest clothes. Lily was nervous but excited, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. Silas held her hand tightly, reassuring her with a gentle smile. The courtroom was small and simple, but it felt significant. Silas stood before the judge and declared his love for Lily and his commitment to providing her with a loving and stable home. Lily, in turn, expressed her desire to be Silas's daughter. The judge, after hearing their heartfelt words, declared the adoption official. "It is my pleasure to pronounce you, Silas, as the legal father of Lily," he announced, his voice filled with warmth. Tears of joy streamed down Silas's face as he embraced Lily tightly. "Welcome home, Lily," he whispered. "You're officially my daughter now." Lily, her face radiant with happiness, threw her arms around Silas, hugging him with all her might. "I love you, Papa," she said, her voice choked with emotion. Silas smiled, his heart overflowing with love. He was no longer alone. He had a family, a daughter, and a future filled with hope. The farm was not just a place, but a home filled with love. Life on the farm continued to flourish. Silas and Lily were inseparable, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. The farm became a haven, a place of peace and tranquility, where they could escape the hardships of the world and find solace in each other's company. Lily thrived under Silas's care, blossoming into a confident and intelligent young woman. She excelled in her studies, devouring books and soaking up knowledge. She also continued to nurture her passion for gardening, experimenting with new techniques and creating breathtaking floral displays. Silas, in turn, found a renewed sense of purpose in his life. He took pride in watching Lily grow, guiding her and supporting her dreams. He learned from her as much as she learned from him, discovering new perspectives and appreciating the simple joys of life. They continued to face challenges, of course, but they faced them together, with unwavering determination and unwavering love. They weathered storms, both literal and figurative, always emerging stronger and more resilient. Years passed, and the farm prospered, becoming a symbol of their hard work and dedication. Silas and Lily had created a legacy, a testament to the power of love, family, and the enduring spirit of the human heart. Their farm was known throughout the county. It was the place where everyone went to get fresh food. More than that, it was a place of joy and laughter. The sun set each day, casting a golden glow on the flourishing crops, a reminder of the beauty they had created together. The animals were healthy and happy. Silas and Lily had built a wonderful life together. Years later, Silas and Lily could still be found working side by side in the fields, their faces weathered by the sun and wind, their hearts full of love and gratitude. The farm stood as a testament to their unwavering dedication, a symbol of their triumph over adversity. Silas, now an old man, watched with pride as Lily, a grown woman, tended to the garden, her hands gently nurturing the plants. She had become a skilled gardener, surpassing even Martha's expertise. The garden was her sanctuary, a place where she could connect with nature and find inspiration. Lily, in turn, watched over Silas, ensuring his comfort and well-being. She had never forgotten the kindness he had shown her, the love he had given her, the home he had provided for her. She knew that she owed him everything. One sunny afternoon, as they sat on the porch, watching the sunset, Lily turned to Silas and said, "Thank you, Papa. You saved me." Silas smiled, taking her hand in his. "No, Lily," he replied. "You saved me. You gave me a reason to live again. You showed me the meaning of love and family." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the colors of the sky fade into darkness, their hearts filled with a profound sense of peace and contentment. They had both found salvation in each other's arms, proving that even in the darkest of times, hope can blossom and love can conquer all. The farm, their shared creation, stood as a monument to their enduring bond, a reminder that even the most barren land can yield a bountiful harvest when nurtured with love and care. They were each other's saving grace.